Good morning. I've got three exciting developments to talk about. I'll explain what they are and then I'll explain why I'm doing it. Short burp. Now, I'm just going to keep running. I'm back practicing as a lawyer. That's the first thing. And I owe a great thanks to the New South Wales Law Society for allowing me to do that. The second thing I'm doing is that I'm starting to record videos, interviews with people, interviews with independent media voices. And I think that's going to be quite exciting. I've already recorded one and it will be out hopefully the next week. Fingers crossed, inshallah. The problem with doing everything on a shoestring budget is that you have to kind of very indulgent of people's delays. And the third thing is, of course, a documentary which should be coming out soon. Again, I'm waiting on the finer tweaking which is going on, which the director wants to do, and because everybody working on it sort of doing me a favour, I can't really get too angry about it. So that brings me to why am I doing all of this? Well, it's obviously pretty self-explanatory about why I want to go back to being a lawyer. That's what I do. It's going to be at least, I believe, another 18 months before this is over. I need to earn money. And if you, and it gives you a lot more self-esteem. I mean, I could earn money stacking shelves in a supermarket, I guess, but I probably wouldn't be any good at doing that. And I would stack them according to the way I wanted them to be stacked. And I'd probably get sacked from Woolworths or Coles. But I am a good lawyer. If you need somebody who's honest and is going to get you the best possible result according to the circumstances of your case. I mean, there are other lawyers out there like that, but maybe not as cheap as me. But find out where I'm working. I'm very careful not to get in trouble with the Law Society. I don't think you're meant to advertise, even though Gerald Maloof obviously does. But I'm working in Sydney for a small criminal firm, and you'll be able to find me. So I'm also going to be doing these long form interviews with people. I think it's very exciting. As I said, you can't get anywhere being a whistleblower without independent media voices. You just die in jail. A lot of them are controversial. Usually they've got quite a good story to tell, and I think that they're today's greatest generation. You often hear a lot of talk by politicians quoting Churchill, wanting to be Churchill and standing up to these totalitarian regimes. The problem with that is that often those very same people are running with a false narrative. And actually, the real greatest generation, the real Churchills of our generation, are not politicians coming out with some narrative which is supported by their big donors. They are the independent voices who are saying, hang on, that sounds right, that sounds great, but the facts don't fit your narrative. It's not an easy job to do because you get vilified, you can get crushed. A lot of people don't take you seriously. It's certainly not a good way to make money. And I think in the same way that those people who charged ashore in D-Day weren't there to make money, they were there to make history. And I want to pay credit to to those people who put their principles ahead of making money. And they are generally the independent voices. And they're usually interesting, fun people as well. So if you want to see me do more interviews, I'm going to be trying to raise money in a separate account to the legal fund. I think something called Patreon. You can give money. We're not looking for huge amounts. We need to buy 3 cameras, or at least rent them, 3 microphones, so we can have a professional split where you can see me, you can see the person being interviewed, and you can have close-ups of our face. And we need to sort of publicise it. Sometimes I'll need to probably travel to go and interview those people. I'm going to the Adelaide Festival. I hope to interview someone there. I've got a very exciting second guest who hasn't been interviewed by anybody, for good reason. That's going to get some views from ASIO and from the Department of Defence. It's a good way to guarantee views. It reminds me of a story about someone that made a living out of writing to Russian dissidents back in the day. And then they would insure the letter or the parcel. And of course it never got there. And they would live off the small amounts of money that you get from a letter which doesn't arrive. So if you want to get a lot of the YouTube hits, and you can be guaranteed, if you're a whistleblower, that ASIO and the Department of Defence, yep, they watch my videos. Sometimes again and again and again, looking for ways to get me. I don't think you can make that much money out of it, but still it is quite funny. So I always say, when I speak to my lawyers on the phone, we always have a joke and say hello to our friends from the security services, doing a long night, listening to our phone calls. And I'm sure that annoys them all the more, which is another reason why we do it. I'm off to court today. I'm not dressed for court. I tried doing this interview in a suit. I mean, this piece of camera in a suit, and it looked a bit stupid. So I'm in my usual t-shirt, and I'm going to even do a cooking video, show you how much weight I've lost and how I've done it. So again, I'm waiting for a friend to finish editing that amazing cooking video. Lots of fun things to look forward to. So why am I doing it? Obviously I need money. I need self-esteem. I'll tell you a story about the reality of being a whistleblower. It's all very fun and games, but I mean, yesterday my much-loved Staffy Jake, who's the Groot to my rocket, chewed through one of my daughter's shoes. He's a pretty good dog. He doesn't do that normally, but he doesn't like me doing boxing training, which I do quite a bit, and he I don't know whether he worries about me or something, but anyway, he tries to distract me, and he bit a hole in his shoe. Anyway, when she found out, she was very upset, and I said to her, look, I'll just, typical dad, you know, let's go straight to the store now and we'll buy you an identical pair of shoes. But of course that wasn't, mums will understand this, or children. I mean, that didn't cut any ice with her. And because she knows that I don't have much money and that this was going to be a big deal. And so it was a difficult situation. She's like, you don't have any money to buy new shoes. And so it was just, well, that's it's a tiny example. It shows you that there's a fair bit of pressure, and it's not necessarily on me. And the same as when my father had his medical license taken away from him, and he had a lot of time in court arguing over various things that he'd done. It didn't affect him so much, but it affected the people around him. It's a bit like, to use an engineering analogy, when got pressure on a steel girder, it's not necessarily the steel girder which buckles. It could be the supports, the concrete supports of that girder which buckle first or break first, and that's a bit the case. It happened with my father in that his case took a big toll on my mother and my sisters, and it's happening with my children. I think because they feel like they can't do anything. I got out there and lived my life, and I think that was the right thing to do. But with children at school age, there's nothing they can do really to help except just suffer. And so I need to earn, I need to do whatever I can, not just for my children, but also for those who have supported me and have given money to the GoFundMe. I know when I give money to people who can't eat, I'm happy to do so if they really can't help themselves, but you do always expect them to do everything they can to help themselves. I get that, and that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to earn money from being a lawyer. I'm trying to raise money by doing whatever I can on YouTube. And I also think you'll enjoy it. Interesting people interviewed by an interesting person. I get to tell my own story. I find it hard just to talk about my own story on its own, but it's much easier when you're speaking to someone else and you can say, if they give a story of their life, you can chime in with something that you has some sort of similarities or differences. And yeah, I hope it'll be enjoyable. We've got to try these things anyway. That's probably enough for me this morning. I've got to get my real suit on. I've got to go out to Parramatta Court, and which I like. I really enjoy doing something good. If you need criminal law, traffic matters, get in contact with my firm, and I'll do the best for you. And thank you for watching. Goodbye to ASIO, and goodbye to all my supporters.